YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after a Thursday night game between the Falcons and the Panthers here in Week 8. I'm here to give you my takeaways. Should be a quick video. Not the most entertaining game, but I do have some big-time takeaways for this game and what to expect going forward maybe from these teams. We do this every Friday on the Thursday game. On every Monday, we recap the Sunday games. We got plenty of other predictions, coverage for the NFL, trade deadline coverage on the channel already. More to come, probably even later today, which is Friday the 30th. So, and we're going to grade any big-time trades to the trade deadline as well after the fact, of course. Follow our Twitter for instant updates on those moves and live talk on during games on that Twitter link down below. Instagram, podcast, Patreon, 60K. That's our subscriber goal. Please help us get there by subscribing. We'd much appreciate it. Patreon has extra content, junior score predictions, my bets of the week for NFL and college. Updated playoff predictions have been updated to the Patreon for this week and will be updated every week. Got more things in the works there, keeping those people involved on the channel. They have some say on some things going forward, so that should be pretty cool. But the Falcons-Panthers game, actually very surprising to me. I was pretty confident on the Panthers, and they've disappointed me big time. I think it was a winnable game for them. Well, here's the thing. Last night I was left saying Panthers could have done more. They could have converted those. That was the obvious. I think those fourth down stops for the Falcons, credit to their defense, I think that was the game, both of them. I think if the Panthers would have converted maybe one, but if they would have converted both, I think the Panthers would have won the game. And I was left, wanting more from the Panthers, more shots downfield. They took two, through like three quarters, and they worked out. One was a flea flicker touchdown to Curtis Samuel. He had a pretty good game, obviously, and they just weren't taking enough shots and trying to figure out why, because the downpour, but they were working because maybe they didn't trust Teddy too much, but they have this year, maybe because a mixture of both. I don't really know, and that causes some more problems, some more questions. So, yeah, again, last night I was like, God, the Panthers could have won this game if they would have just went all out and done it. But then this morning, I always have more thoughts in the morning. I look at some plays again. I kind of reevaluate the game. And really, though, the Panthers are lucky they didn't get their asses beat big time in this game. I mean, the Falcons kind of dominated them in a way. The Falcons left a lot of points up on the field. We were talking about that last night. The Panthers left some points and could have done more, but the Falcons were the one that they got conservative as soon as they got in the red zone, kicked field goals instead of touchdowns. The Panthers just really didn't have any positives. We have a couple, but it just felt like the Falcons dominated the game, actually, which is surprising, but it's the Panthers' own fault there. I don't know if I've been, there's been performances where I've been disappointed in teams and disappointed in play calling, but this might take the cake here. This for the Panthers, very disappointing there. They were on a winning streak, now they're on a losing streak. Again, the storyline for me is those fourth down conversions or fourth down stops for the Falcons defense and non-conversions for the Panthers. And we'll talk about more of that in depth. Let's start with the Falcons. The positives, the third down and fourth down defense. They were predicting plays. They did a really good job. I mean, Grady Jarrett, Jesus Christ, this guy's an absolute animal. We already knew that, though. Knew exactly where the run was going, when it was happening. Was shedding blocks, dominant level. He was absolutely fantastic. The linebacker unit looked pretty solid as well. Other guys stepped up. Keanu Neal had a big-time hit at one point. He was pretty sound in coverage. So overall, the Falcons' defense kind of stepped up. I thought the Panthers were able to kind of move the ball to a certain point, though, and that just confusing on very confusing is the best way to sum it up with the Panthers. I don't know why they were leaving stuff out in the field, why they weren't doing enough. The Falcons' defense stepped up. Matt Ryan using the legs, surprisingly, and that's kind of a knock on the Panthers' defense. Matt Ryan was able to run for a long touchdown. He's able to run for a first down on third down, pretty lengthy one. You don't really see that too often, but that was impressive. He was pretty impressive, except getting the ball in the end zone. But I didn't really agree with the play calling. And then they had one interception. The interception looked like as it was happening, like, wow, it's a beautiful throw, but then it just ended up in Dante Jackson's hands. So it's not really a bad interception. Secondary, I'm kind of in the middle on. Overall, they played a pretty good game because they were tight in coverage, and Teddy he didn't want to try to fit the ball in tight coverages. I wish he would have taken more chances because, you're just kind of not going for the win, it looks like. But because they were tight in coverage, I think that forced that. I think the secondary was beatable, though. When they took shots, they beat them. They weren't making the greatest plays on ball when they had the opportunity. So overall, I think mainly good from the secondary, but I think the Panthers just could have done more against them, Red zone play calling was pretty brutal. It felt like they were playing for a field goal, and that kind of feels like the Falcons. It summarizes the Falcons for this season so far. Playing for a field goal. In the first drive of the game was an excellent script. I think I would have went for that. I mean, it ended up working out. They won the game. Last week, they went for a 4th and 5 way further back than that when they could have kicked the field goal, and that would have won the game last week. And they didn't hesitate to go for it then, but now didn't hesitate really to kick the field. Well, they thought about it, actually, but they kicked the field goal when it was much shorter distance, a yard, maybe a little less, and it was inside, the 5-yard line. But yeah, I can't really knock them too much, but they go from one extreme to another. But the red zone play calling was run first down, run second down, pass on third down, and I hate that. My rules for offenses, play calling, be unpredictable. I think sometimes coaches get too unpredictable with second and long runs. I hate second and long runs, but be unpredictable. Don't be obvious. But then don't play for obvious passing situations, and too many teams do that. They set up a third and long where the entire planet, let alone the defense, knows it's a pass play. And defense is a guessing game. You got to guess all the time. And when the offense tells you what kind of play choice they're going with, it's it's not too hard. You can blitz. It's easier to get pressure because the whole front, the whole defensive line doesn't really need to worry about, in the linebackers don't really need to worry about crashing gaps, filling gaps on run play, as a run play. So it's very simple. I think too many teams do that. The Falcons kind of set themselves up for not disaster, but field goals, I guess, in the red zone. So turn those into touchdowns, and you got an ass beaten, really. So that's kind of my takeaways from this morning. But overall, a lot of positives from the Falcons. But the defense, since the Vikings game, has been a lot better. Vikings, Lions, Panthers. The defense has been a lot better. So I guess showing some promise for the future. I still hope they revamp the coaching staff. Even on the passing plays, in the red zone, they wait till third down. And there was one I was tweeting about. I can't remember exactly which time. One of those times they ended up kicking a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown. But they had every single target, receiver, tight end, run a curl at the goal line. And that's just a no. That's just a big no. I mean, there's not too much movement on that. If they're covered, they're covered. It's pretty easy to cover that. It's a ball that's going to come out pretty quick. It's tough on everybody. And I just remember Mike Mularkey used to call those types of curls at the sticks, curls at the goal line when he was with the Tennessee Titans. And Mike Mularkey is on the coaching staff of the Falcons. So it's just what it reminded me of. I don't know. So that's my only knocks on the Falcons. The red zone mainly. I think everyone can. Panthers, Brian Burns is a stud. If you didn't watch the game, you look at the stats. This kind of applies to every single week. If you didn't watch the game, look at the stats. You may say, well, Brian Burns didn't do a whole bunch. Well, he did, actually. It's a guy that's very close to being at the top of the NFL in sacks. He's a young stud with crazy pass rush move and athletic ability, high motor. The kid's going to continue to get better. I'm a huge fan of Brian Burns. He's going to continue to get better, and one day these are all going to turn into sacks. I think he had one that was end up being like a 1-yard run for Matt Ryan. He had like 3 that I think he hit Matt Ryan as he let go of the ball. And it's not like it was Matt Ryan was holding the ball long. It was kind of instantly. And then he had one nasty spin move for a sack that got the Panthers got penalized on, so it didn't count. Brian Burns will break out, for a ton of sacks, maybe later this year, but I don't think it's out there. I said it on Twitter. It is a little bold. People said it was bold, but I know it's bold. But it wouldn't surprise me. I'll say it this way: it wouldn't surprise me if Brian Burns led the NFL in sacks. 2 years from now, it wouldn't surprise me. I think he's that good. He can lead the league in sacks. I think he's that capable. He's got a lot of upside. First half, Teddy was great. Very accurate. That it was a flea flicker, but it was pretty tightly covered. And it was a deep ball in the rain to Curtis Samuel. It was a perfect ball. He was perfect. At one point, he had 8 completions with only 1 incompletion, but that incompletion was the first play of the game. Was a quick slant to DJ Moore, and it was a tight window, tight covered. 2 guys there just fit it right in there. DJ Moore dropped it. But I wish they would have used DJ Moore a little more after that. They kind of went away from him. I don't think that's why. And then late in the game, when they finally took a shot again, it was a jump ball on 3rd and forever, 17, I want to say, and DJ Moore went up and got it. So I wish they would have done more of that. More of that to Robbie Anderson. It was working. Early in the game, Teddy was on. He was very accurate. I mean, even the 3-4 yard passes, which kind of hurt them in the end, but early in the game, they were working. They were guarantees, and then they end up having these third downs, these 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s. And they were kind of running the ball. They were trying to run the ball to Curtis Samuel. In those, I don't like that. In those, give it to your running back. That's been hard running. He's been doing very well. In on that the third down situations. Because I understand if you know you're going to play. You're going to go for it on 4th down. I don't really mind going for it on 3rd, just maybe run it to Mike Davis at a Curtis Samuel. But then at the same time, a 3-4 yard pass was kind of guaranteed at that point, rolling out Teddy. So that was guaranteed. Then we get to the 4th downs, though, and they try to run Teddy, and the other one, they try to run Mike Davis when it's more than like a half a yard or a yard. It's a little lengthy. I can't believe they didn't pass it on either of those 4th downs because, again, the rollout. The one, it was a read option. Teddy took it. I think they were doomed if Teddy gave it to Mike Davis or he kept it either way. But how do you not have somebody kind of leak out? They kind of need that leak out type player. So maybe they do need a better tight end, which Matt Rule has never valued the tight end position, but Joe Brady did at LSU. So maybe they need that leak out type of guy. I mean, you can make it work with anybody. You can make it work with an offensive lineman, though. So really no excuses there. I just don't know how they don't have that option. I'm a big fan of Rule, big fan of Joe Brady. They got a bright future because of the young talent they have, because of his coaching staff. But this was a very, very poorly called game, and I was shocked by that. They didn't trust the offense, I guess, enough is my takeaway, because there wasn't enough shots. And those 3rd down calls were one thing. Those were not good. There was so many failed 3rd down conversions. They took a deep shot at one point on 3rd down. That was probably their only incompletion on a deep shot, for most of this game. Up until the end, and it was a situation where they finally go deep, but that's not a situation where you should go deep. I felt like they were backwards play calling in this game. Very confusing. That's just what I keep saying. That's what I said to myself last night. It's what I said to myself today. It's just very confusing game plan / play calls. And Teddy was money. Like, those were guaranteed. They would go away from the pass. Second half, he did get beat up a bit. There was more pressure. The Falcons started blitzing. Great blitz calls. When you know a team is passing because they're coming from behind, it is very easy to play defense. You blitz, and you just see that. So you can't play for obvious situations. They waited till the end to, do those, drop back passes. This is terrible play calling by the Panthers, really. The more I'm talking about it, the more it's kind of ticking me off. I'm not a Panthers fan, but, stuff like that, I can get mad at any team for things like this. But yeah, second half, Teddy I think he was panicking a little early. The injury kind of affected him definitely, because he's a guy that'll take on pressure and avoid it, and avoid it with his legs and make them miss completely, but he'll kind of break through it as well. And not hesitant to run, and we saw that early. He got a little wiggle to him, getting downfield. And then it just stopped. It kind of just stopped, and he was taking sacks, and he was just getting the ball off too quick, and too easy to go to the check down because he was panicking because of pressure. They were getting pretty decent pressure. But yeah, that was pretty tough. I talked about the play calling, the 3rd and 4th down is just brutal. The defense, usually when I put stuff on the graphic here, I want to be specific like all the other ones. But I couldn't really be specific. The defense was just bad. Brian Burns was good. I thought Derek Brown was pretty solid. Jeremy Chin kind of flying around the field a bit. You could see Jeremy Chin's another one, kind of like Brian Burns. Brian Burns is so close to just breaking off a million sacks. I think Chin is so close to having bigger plays, even better plays, because he's explosive. I think his instincts and his reactions could be a little faster, a little quicker, a little better, because when he breaks on the ball, whether it's in the air or it's the run, he is explosive. And, he's not really going to miss the tackle, I suppose. He could take better angles and attempt to tackle. But yeah, he's another guy, bright future, because he's that close to really just exploding. And he had a first down on for the offense. Well, really special teams on a fake punt. I like that call because they took a shot, and then that was that 3rd down. They took a shot. I don't really like that call, but I like that they had it in mind that it felt like that they were going to go for it if they didn't get that shot. Maybe the only thing I could take away from that. But the defense was pretty bad. The gaps were wide open for runs. The Falcons were pretty predictable in my opinion. I mean, not like really predictable, but the Panthers were acting like they didn't know what was coming at all times. Just why, Julio had a big game. Credit to Julio Jones over there. He was just wide open all day. There was receivers wide open. Hayden Hurst. It was obvious plays like leak outs to Hayden Hurst that they were doing. The Panthers should have been doing plays like that. And then Matt Ryan was running. Like, you weren't filling gaps on the run game. You weren't covering all the guys. There was guys wide open, but then you let Matt Ryan run as well. Like, you can't have all those things. So the defense was just really bad. Guys falling down all over the place. It was raining, but I didn't see the Falcons really doing that. And there's a ton of games that are raining. There's rain is a factor, but guys were falling down all over the place. Guys were taking poor angles. Sometimes, it was a mixture of maybe guys not, that interested in really going to tackle. It's not like they were not playing or giving up, but I think there could have been more. I was left wanting more from the Panthers in this entire game, really, mainly the offense, but because 17 points is just pathetic. The lack of shots is pathetic. So I'm starting to really come down to the Panthers. They went on a little bit of a winning streak, and I got a little excited, and I was impressed at that point. But a game like this makes me really kind of fall down on them a bit. So that's unfortunate. And I don't know. I don't know. It's a confusing game plan, play call. I keep saying it, but that's what it is for the Panthers. So very surprised by that one. I thought the Panthers -2.5 and the over were almost locks in this game. The Panthers play calling, the downpour, and Teddy getting hurt there at one point, I think killed those things. So that was just extremely disappointing. Pretty much the storyline of this game for the Panthers mainly. Did the Falcons fans want to win? That was kind of the Panthers fans, I think, wanted to win. The Falcons, did they want to win? I know a Falcons fan that was actually hoping for losses. It's tough to do when you're actually watching them, but I did the same thing. I kind of want my Vikings to lose because I want a top pick, but I know if I turn them on, I'm gonna expect more. I'm gonna want good play, so it's tough to do, but so I don't think any Falcons fans are mad, but they're probably like, man, now we're gonna win, really. But this makes me feel a little better about being a Vikings fan because I'm just seeing the Falcons play bad and blowing games, and I see, on the scoreboard it usually shows the record, and that one win, I know it's against my team, and it was an absolute ass beating. Makes me feel a little bit shitty. So I guess that's the good thing about Falcons winning here, even though I was real confident, unfortunately for my case, in the Panthers. But yeah, weird one. I don't know, but I'm excited for some really good games this Sunday. A lot of ones that will probably end up being unpredictable. That's the beauty about the NFL. There's a lot of change, a lot of different things every single week. Don't know what to expect. A lot of exciting football, so I can't wait. We got you covered every week for every game with power rankings, with trade deadline coverage, with NFL draft coverage, free agency in the offseason. So hopefully you can subscribe, turn notifications on, smash that like button. Really appreciate you guys for being here watching. That's going to do it. Goodbye.